the Benoit thing, because I think this documentary highlighted something as well, is that when the whole Chris Nowinski thing happened and like he started, doing the research on it, WWE actually like they weren't as like combative with him as we thought. In fact, like when they started like hearing him and they were like more like, well, why are you coming after us? Let's see if we can get together and actually look at this. And I think WWE and Vince McMahon were very reasonable about that. And the fact is that even though we hate it, they banned certain moves. They banned the pile driver. They banned chair shots to the head. They did the right thing when it came to the CTE thing. And also the drug enforcement policy, the wellness program that they have. I just think WWE doesn't get enough credit for that. I think they're villainized a little bit too much on not caring about their wrestlers. And again, a different time, you could say that, but it was a different time, But when it came time and the stuff came out, in fact, WWE was a little more accepting to the CTE thing than most other companies. The NFL's still battling them on that. I think NHL is still battling on CTE.
Soccer.
So what were your thoughts on that?
No, they were very transparent with him, with Nowinski. They said, you know what? We weren't going to give you any resistance. Don't give us the heat. We're willing to work with you. We're going to be one of the major American sport or professional sport in the world, sports entertainment world, to open up and allow you to put protocols and educate our performers why the headshots are not well for you. They had seminars, they had explanation. It wasn't like, I'm the booker, I don't want you using a muscle buster or a power driver or getting any chair shot because I said so. No, this is the reason why. We're finding out with some longevity with performers who've been wrestling with history in the business with doing these kind of moves are developing this, and we want to make sure to ensure that not just you're going to be safe, but your children's children and beyond in this art that's called professional wrestling. And that was a great thing. They were very transparent. They didn't want to hide anything there, and they actually helped in the research. One thing that got me a little bit when Nowinski talked to Benoit's dad with tears, said, yes, study my son's brain. That was powerful because you're asking after what was done, and there could be a parent could be in denial, in so type of different emotions, because what he did, he killed himself, he killed his family, and you're asking if we could study his brain. It's like, kudos to the father for having that maturity or for allowing that to happen, and find out what happened to Benoit with the share shots and how bad his injuries were, because all you kept seeing was him doing the flying headbutt a lot in that montage of him wrestling. And another guy who's undersized, Christian. Another guy who's undersized.
Yeah. And I always think back to that. Remember that suicide dive he did, and he went like just lawn darted right into the barricade. I always think of that one. I'm like, could that have been the one?
Could be so many.
It's very weird watching Chris Benoit matches for me, and I don't even like get like that with stuff. But it's just like, oh man, it's weird. But it was refreshing to hear Vince McMahon actually talk about Chris Benoit, even though he didn't really give a lot to it. You could tell it's still something that he doesn't want to talk about. But more or less, all Vince said was that Chris went crazy and it had nothing to do with steroids. That's kind of all Vince said.
Yeah, because he and we did find out that he was going to be off air. He was going to totally be behind the scenes. Vince McMahon was going to, when he got into that limousine, he was going to get blown off. The Mr. McMahon character was going to be done. He was going to be strictly behind the scenes in Gorilla, not being seen, not being part of the show, stepping away from the WWE at that moment, not being a persona. And due to that situation, unfortunate situation, he had to be back on television, address the world of what happened. They didn't even know that the guy committed a murder, but they honored him as a WWE performer the night before, which was, I think, to be honest with you, we're not knowing, that was the right call. People might say, oh, no, they're honoring the murderer. We didn't know that. They
You didn't know that. Yeah.
and he was a
Like,
performer who passed away. You're going to honor him for the service and the work and the commodity you had in your. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of bad people in my job that I don't know of, but at work we're all for one and one for all, working together to get a big task at hand done.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's almost like being mad at the NFL for holding a ceremony for OJ before he did, did what he did, like, or before it came out. Like, again, it's just you can't base it on what we know today and today's standards.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. I mean, I always respected Vince for doing that too. Of like when he came out and he could have, it was embarrassing, but when he came out the next night on ECW and he's like, we didn't know, but now we know, and from now on we won't speak about Chris Benoit.
Right.
And they never did.
They never did, and they acquired him. They erased him from existence from the WWE. That's what that was an unfortunate situation, but next, and it's funny because we're seeing now the way the business was evolving and changing.